We're going to take a look now at the German wo and wohin. We're first going to begin our discussion with a look at some old English words. Today, when we use English, we ask the questions: where are you going, and where are you coming from? However, in Old English, there were two really cool words, whither and whence, that expressed the same idea. And German, we'll see, has retains two very similar words. So our exploration of English will take us directly into a discussion of wo and wohin in German. We'll see that when we use wo and wohin, it's very important that we are aware of where we stand in the sentence and how the action relates to us. And so let's actually look at the beginning now at the English example. As you see on the screen, where you're standing answers the question where. In the German sentence, and actually in the Old English as well, I assume, all action sort of occurs around you. So someone asks you, where are you? You say, I am here. Now, if someone is moving away from you, you use the Old English whither. Whither are you going? So in relation to me, the speaker, the person asking the question, whither are you going? You're going away from me, so I'd like to know more about where you're going. You would use the older English word whither. Now, I'm still thinking about you as the center of the sentence. If someone is coming towards you, you would use the word whence. Whence are you coming? In relation to you, a person is moving towards you. So, if someone is coming towards you, it's whence. If someone's moving away from you, going away from you, it would be whither. Now, in German, we have exactly the same construct. The question, wo, where? Where are you standing? Wo stehst du? I'm standing right here. Again, position. Now, in German, you'll notice in all of these question words, all begin with a W. If a person is moving away from you, and you don't know where, you want to find out more information, you say, wohin gehst du? Wohin is an interrogative, so it comes, as you see, in the first position in the sentence. The verb is always going to be in the second position, followed by whatever remains in the sentence in the third position. So movement away from you, the center of the sentence, the person who is speaking, movement away will be wohin. Now, if someone is coming towards you, we use the word woher. Woher kommst du? Again, it's an interrogative. It's a question word, so it comes in the first position. The verb always comes in the second position, followed in the third position, sort of whatever remains in the sentence. So, main thing, movement away is wohin. Movement towards, woher. Again, you are the center of the sentence. Everything is happening in relationship to you spatially. So if someone is moving away from you, wohin. If someone's coming towards you, woher. Now let's look at some colloquial usage of wohin and woher. There's sort of two different ways to ask wohin and woher. The first one that you see, wohin gehst du, or where are you going? What we can do in German, I've heard this a lot in colloquial usage, we could split it up. We could put wo at the beginning of the sentence, followed by gehst du, like we had before, but then put the hin at the very end, wo gehst du hin? We could do the exact same thing with woher. Woher kommst du? Wo kommst du her? Where are you coming from? Now, there is no, all of these formulations mean exactly the same thing. It's just that in colloquial usage, I've generally heard I've heard it separated. Wo gehst du hin? Wo kommst du her? This seems to be more of a relaxed colloquial usage and one that you'll use, more frequently. You should be familiar with both forms, however. So, all right, wo and wohin. Okay, we're going to be talking about describing location with what I term two-way verbs. This presentation is going to give a quick overview of two-way verbs, and we'll see that they can take either an accusative or dative object, depending upon whether they express, like two-way prepositions, location or movement. Since they're similar to two-way prepositions, I'm going to give a quick overview, a quick review of those, or at least the concept behind two-way prepositions, before we end the presentation with an example of describing location with a two-way verb. So there are two kinds of two-way verbs, and this is a quick overview. We'll see that they're accusative and dative forms. Now, the accusative forms, hängen, legen, setzen, stecken, und stellen, they will basically, as we'll see, they'll describe movement. Hängen is to hang, legen is to lay, setzen is to place, stecken is to stick into something, and stellen means to place, but sort of like you would place a cup, something that stands in a vertical position. Now, you look on the dative column, and some of them remain the same. Hängen remains the same, and stecken also remains the same. However, we see that legen, setzen, and stellen change in the dative. So something you don't lay it, it lies. You don't set it, it sits. You don't place it, it stands. So liegen, sitzen, and stehen are the dative forms of the accusative two-way verbs. So they're sort of like partners. You know one, you have to know the other, because it depends on whether you're moving something or if describing something that is in a location, a position. So this one we're going to look specifically at, in this presentation, we're going to look specifically at two-way verbs in the dative. Hängen, liegen, sitzen, stecken, and stehen. So hängen is to be hanging on a vertical surface. Liegen is to be laying on a horizontal surface, or actually lying on a horizontal surface. Sitzen is to be sitting in a chair, on a bank, on a bench, on the ground. Stecken is to stick something, to insert, to place something into something. So you place it into the drawer, for instance. You put it into your pocket. And stehen is to be standing, sort of. People stand, but also vases stand, statues stand, books, if you don't lay them down, they stand. So anything that sort of stands on its own in a vertical position. Now, let's quickly review the concept of two-way prepositions. I'm not going to go over the individual prepositions, but I want to get the concept down. We remember from our prior discussion of two-way prepositions, we talked about Frau Schmidt. Frau Schmidt, the first question asks the question, wohin geht Frau Schmidt? So where is she going? Wohin indicates some type of motion away from the speaker. So we're actually, in this instance, very concerned with the concept of motion. We don't care where she's at the moment. We don't want to know where she is going. And the answer is, sie geht in die Bäckerei. Now, you recall from our discussion on two-way prepositions that whenever she goes into the bakery or she goes somewhere, any time of movement is involved. If I use a two-way preposition to express that movement, I'm going to use it in the accusative case. That is, the object of that preposition will be in the accusative form. So it's die Bäckerei, sie geht in die Bäckerei. It still retains the accusative because it indicates motion. Now, that same type of concept is going to be used with the these verbs. Oh, sorry. Before I get to that, you'll recall also, wo ist Frau Schmidt? Position. I don't care where she's going. I want to know where she is at. I answer with the dative. Still use the same two-way preposition in, but this time I respond with the dative form, in der Bäckerei. She's located in the bakery. So the same type of concept is going to be used with these two-way verbs. Now, whenever I talk about placement, position, and I use a two-way verb, hängen, liegen, sitzen, stecken, or stehen, and I use it in conjunction with one of those two-way prepositions, an, auf, hinter, im, neben, über, unter, vor, and zwischen. Anytime that happens, I'm going to automatically use the dative. Because recall, I'm not concerned about direction or motion or movement away from. I'm interested in position. So anytime in German I talk about position and I use a two-way preposition and I use a verb, one of those two-way verbs that we looked at that you see on your screen, I'm going to use it in dative. So, for instance, returning to Frau Schmidt. Wo sitzt Frau Schmidt? So the verb there, sitzen, you'll recall is one of those two-way verbs that we're talking about. Now you'll also recall that it could take either an accusative or dative, depending upon whether I'm talking about motion or position. Now sitzen by itself indicates position. She's not setting herself down, she's sitting on a chair, or in this example, auf der Bank, on a bench. So since by itself, by default, the verb suggests position, I'm automatically going to use the dative case. Sie sitzt auf der Bank. It should be die Bank. Die Bank is the nominative form, feminine, but die goes to dative because I have a two-way verb, sitzen, and a two-way preposition, auf, describing location. So, two-way verbs.
Welcome to Wege in den Beruf, German for your career. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce you to German nouns and definite articles in the nominative case. By the end of this presentation, you will have learned about the grammatical gender and number of German nouns, how the gender and number determine the definite articles of the nouns, and how rules can sometimes be used to determine the gender of nouns. Finally, we will talk briefly about how to use a dictionary to determine the gender and definite article of nouns. Let's get started. As you see with the example on the screen, nouns in English usually do not manifest any grammatical gender, although they do distinguish between singular and plural forms. The definite article that precedes both singular and plural forms of the noun is always the. It is important to know, however, that German nouns have a grammatical gender. They are either masculine, feminine, or neuter. There's usually a correspondence between the actual biological gender of a noun, if there is one, and its grammatical gender. Otherwise, the grammatical gender of a German noun seems to be somewhat random, especially to a person learning German for the first time. The grammatical gender of a German noun determines its definite article. Masculine nouns have the definite article der. Feminine nouns have the definite article die, and neuter nouns have the definite article das. As in English, German nouns can also be singular or plural. However, plural German nouns, unlike German singular nouns, do not manifest any gender, and their definite article is always die. Let's take a look at some examples. The German noun Lebenslauf, or resume, is a singular masculine noun. Therefore, its definite article will always be der. Adresse, however, is a singular feminine noun meaning address. and therefore its definite article must be die. The German noun Handy or mobile phone is a singular neuter noun, therefore its definite article is always das. Finally, the German noun Geschwister, meaning siblings, refers to a group of people and therefore is automatically a plural noun. Its definite article will always be die. Let's now take a look at how we could apply German nouns and definite articles in the nominative case. The explanations that follow will help you to complete the related online course activity. Often when you encounter a German noun, such as when filling out the personal information section of a German resume, it will be difficult to determine the grammatical gender of the noun as there is no definite article that precedes the noun. In this case, it is important to know that there are some rules that can help you determine the grammatical gender. The German noun Staatsangehörigkeit, for example, ends in the suffix keit, which is always a characteristic of feminine singular nouns in German. The definite article of this noun, therefore, must be die. There are several rules governing the grammatical gender of German nouns, and it would be impossible to go over each rule in this presentation. Please consult your own textbook or conduct a web search to find out more about these rules. Finally, you can always consult a dictionary or the module vocabulary list to determine the definite article of a German noun. Looking up Staatsangehörigkeit in the vocabulary list will reveal that it is preceded by the definite article die, which means that it could be either a singular feminine noun or a plural noun. Once we determine that the noun is indeed not plural, we can safely say that Staatsangehörigkeit is a singular feminine noun. This concludes the presentation on German nouns and definite articles in the nominative case. Be sure now to test your knowledge by completing the related online course activity. Wege in den Beruf is a production of German Studies at Elon University. The course is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to Wege in den Beruf, German for your career. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce you to German personal pronouns in the nominative case. By the end of this presentation, you will have reviewed English personal pronouns and have learned about the familiar and formal forms of German personal pronouns in the nominative case. In addition, you will have also learned how personal pronouns can be used to refer to German nouns, and will have seen how you can apply what you have learned to complete the associated online course activity. Let's get started. As you see on the screen, the English personal pronouns in the nominative can be classified as either singular or plural, and as either first person, second person, or third person. The singular personal pronouns in English are I, first person singular, you, second person singular, and he, she, it, third person singular. The plural personal pronouns in English are we, first person plural, y'all, second person plural, a contraction of you all and a regionalism frequently found in the southern United States, and they, third person plural. German personal pronouns can be classified in the same manner. The singular personal pronouns in German are ich, first person singular, du, second person singular, and sie, es, third person singular. The plural personal pronouns in German are wir, first person plural, ihr, second person plural, and sie, third person plural. English generally does not have a formal form of address, although it can be approximated by adding sir or ma'am to the second person singular and plural personal pronouns, as you see on the screen. It is important to note, however, that German has a formal form of address that uses specific personal pronouns. These are Sie, second person singular formal, and Sie, second person plural formal. These formal personal pronouns are always capitalized. Now, how do we use these personal pronouns to refer to nouns? You will recall from our earlier presentation on German nouns and definite articles that German nouns have a grammatical gender. They are either masculine, feminine, or neuter. You will also recall that the grammatical gender of a German noun determines its definite article. Masculine nouns have the definite article der, feminine nouns have the definite article die, and neuter nouns have the definite article das. Finally, you will remember that plural German nouns do not manifest any gender, and their definite article is always die. In German, the grammatical gender or number of a noun determines the personal pronoun that gets used. The personal pronouns you see on the screen all manifest gender: er, masculine, sie, feminine, and es, neuter. The gender of the personal pronoun, therefore, can be matched to the gender of the German noun, which is manifested by its definite article: er, masculine, third person singular; sie, feminine, third person singular; and es, neuter, third person singular. When referring to people or living things with a biological gender, the appropriate matching personal pronoun is used. For plural nouns, the number of the noun determines its personal pronoun: sie, third person plural. Let's now take a look at how we could apply German personal pronouns in the nominative case. The explanations that follow will help you to complete the related online course activity. The grammatical gender of the German noun Lebenslauf or resume is masculine, and the number of the noun is singular. If you were to see the definite article of the noun here, it would be der. Since Lebenslauf is a masculine singular noun, the matching personal pronoun needs to be used: er, masculine, third person singular. The grammatical gender of the German noun Postleitzahl or postal code is feminine, and the number of the noun is singular. If you were to see the definite article of the noun here, it would be die. Since Postleitzahl is a feminine singular noun, the matching personal pronoun needs to be used: sie, feminine, third person singular. The grammatical gender of the German noun Foto or photograph is neuter, and the number of the noun is singular. If you were to see the definite article of the noun here, it would be das. Since photo is a neuter singular noun, the matching personal pronoun needs to be used: es, neuter third person singular. Finally, the German noun Kinder has no gender, as it is the plural form of a neuter singular noun Kind or child. If you were to see the definite article of the noun here, it would be die. Since Kinder is a plural noun, the matching personal pronoun needs to be used: sie, third person plural. This concludes the presentation on German personal pronouns in the nominative case. Be sure now to test your knowledge by completing the related online course activity. Wege in den Beruf is a production of German Studies at Elon University. The course is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square. Remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce nominative personal pronouns. A personal pronoun is a word that can substitute for a person or a noun. In English, personal pronouns are determined by the number and person of the word they replace. The personal pronouns in English are I, first person singular; you, second person singular; he, she, it, third person singular; we, first person plural; y'all, second person plural, a dialect form found in Southern American English; and they, third person plural. I will explain the nominative case in a later presentation. When teaching German personal pronouns, I like to introduce them as actors on a stage. The first person to appear on the stage is ich, I, the first person singular personal pronoun. Another actor appears on the stage, whom I would directly address as du, you. This second-person singular personal pronoun is the informal form of address that can only be used with deity, family and relatives, close friends, young children, and pets. Yet another actor appears on the stage. I don't talk directly to this actor, but I can talk about him or her with the second actor. The third-person singular personal pronouns sie, es, he, she, it can be used to indicate the biological gender of the noun they replace. As I will show at the end of this presentation, in German they could also indicate the grammatical gender of the noun. We can also apply the concept of actors on the stage to the plural personal pronouns. The first group of actors to appear on the stage is wir, we, the first person plural personal pronoun. Another group of actors appears on the stage, which we would collectively address as ihr, y'all. Again, this is the informal form of address and should only be used with groups of close friends, relatives, young children, and pets. The final group to appear on the stage is a group of actors that are separate from the first two groups. We would therefore refer to these actors as sie, they. Before we go any further, it is important to note that German has a formal form of address, Sie, you sir or you ma'am, which is used with strangers, business associates, acquaintances, and situations outside of the family. As you see on the screen, there are both singular and plural second-person forms of this personal pronoun. Both forms are capitalized. Let's now apply what we learned about personal pronouns to German nouns. You will recall from the presentation on German nouns that the grammatical gender of a noun is seen in this definite article. Der indicates a masculine noun, die a feminine noun, and das a neuter noun. There is also a definite article die for plural nouns. In German, we can replace nouns with third-person singular and plural personal pronouns. In the case of singular personal pronouns, this substitution can be based on the biological gender of the noun. For instance, in the sentence you see on the screen, die Frau ist schön, the woman is beautiful, the feminine noun Frau can be replaced by the third-person singular feminine personal pronoun sie, she. This makes sense as the substitution is based on biological gender. German also makes substitutions based on the grammatical gender of the noun. For instance, in the sentence you see on the screen, der Tisch ist braun, the table is brown, the masculine noun Tisch can be replaced by the third-person singular masculine personal pronoun he. Or the feminine noun Blume in Die Blume ist schön, the flower is beautiful, can be replaced by the third-person singular feminine personal pronoun sie, she. And the neuter noun Auto in Das Auto ist schnell, the car is fast, can be replaced by the third-person singular neuter personal pronoun es, it. The main point is to pay close attention to the grammatical gender of the noun when replacing it with a pronoun. This can sometimes be tricky for native speakers of English. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce the pronunciation of the alphabet in German. The presentation will also introduce umlauted vowels, diphthongs, which are two vowels that are pronounced as one sound, and grouped consonants. To ensure that this is done as accurately as possible, I have spared no expense to hire a native speaker of German.
A. Ast, B. Bach, Lob, C. Computer, D. Dach, Freund, E. Ecke, F. Faden, G. Garten, genug, H. Haar, I. Imbiss, Igel, J. Ja, K. Kino, L. Laden, M. Meer, N. Nachbar, O. Rot, offen, P. Polizei, Q. Quatsch, R. Rucksack, Stern, S. Saft, Maus, T. Tasche, U. Universität, Mund, V. Vater, W. Wald, X. Hexe, Y. Yoga, Z. Zeitung, Ä. Äpfel, Ö. Öl, Ü. Überfluss, SZ. Straße, Ei. Eis, Mai, Au. Auto, auch, Eu. Neu, Häuser, I. Nie, CH. Bauch, Chemie, Wachs, PF. Pferd, SCH. Schule, SP. Sprache, ST. Stadt, TH. Thema.
The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-minute German grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce the present tense conjugation of regular German verbs. When conjugating verbs, it is important to maintain agreement between the subject and the verb. That is to say, the verb must agree with the subject both in number and person. In the sentence you see on the screen, the third-person singular personal pronoun he is paired with an incorrect verb conjugation, play. This makes the sentence sound awkward. English adds an S to the verb in order to make a third-person singular verb conjugation. This agreement between the subject and the verb makes the sentence sound much better. In German, present tense verb endings are determined both by the number of the subject they modify, singular or plural, and the person of the subject, first, second, or third person. There are also singular and plural endings for the formal form of address. The term present tense simply means that the action of the verb occurs in the present moment and not, say, in the past. You will use this conjugation pattern most frequently in German. As you see on the screen, German has a verb ending for each combination of number and person. It is very important to memorize these endings. To conjugate a verb in German, you begin with the infinitive form of the verb. This is the form that you will find in the dictionary. You will note that English uses to with a verb to form the infinitive, but German does not do this. Instead, German has an infinitive ending, which is attached to the verb stem to form the infinitive. Here the infinitive ending en is attached to the verb stem spiel to produce spielen, to play. To conjugate a verb, you first remove its infinitive ending. The next step is to determine both the number and person for the subject of the verb. Here the subject is the third-person singular masculine personal pronoun he. We then need to find the correct third-person singular verb ending on the chart. Here the correct ending t is marked in red. Once that is done, we simply add that ending to the verb stem to produce spielt, he plays. Both the subject and verb are in third-person singular, creating subject-verb agreement. Some regular verbs have a stem that ends in d or t. When this is the case, we change the conjugation pattern slightly by adding an e before the second and third-person singular, as well as second-person plural verb endings. These exceptional endings are marked in red on the screen. To conjugate verbs ending in d or t, we follow the same process as described earlier, but with one extra step. Remove the infinitive ending for the verb finden, to find. Notice that the verb stem ends in d, and determine both the number and person of the subject. Here the subject is a third-person singular masculine personal pronoun he. We then need to find the correct third-person singular verb ending on the chart. Here the appropriate ending et is marked in red. We then add that ending to the verb stem to produce findet, he finds. Both the subject and verb are in third-person singular, creating subject-verb agreement. Finally, a few regular verbs have a stem ending in sz, s or z, which requires another slight variation to the conjugation pattern. The second person singular ending drops the S from the regular ST ending. This exceptional ending is marked in red on the screen. Following the steps described in the previous slides produces du heißt, you are called. Both the subject and verb are in second person singular, creating subject-verb agreement. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce indefinite articles in the nominative and accusative cases. You'll recall from the presentation on definite articles that the endings of these articles show the gender, case, and number of the noun they modify. You will also recall that the masculine definite article was the only one that changed as it moved from the nominative to the accusative case. These patterns, with a few minor exceptions, can also be found in the indefinite articles. In English, an indefinite article, either a or an, is used when we are talking about a thing in general, not a specific thing. For example, a tree instead of the tree. The nominative indefinite articles are ein, masculine, eine, feminine, and ein, neuter. The masculine and neuter indefinite articles, unlike the definite articles, do not take an ending. This sometimes makes it difficult to determine the gender of the noun they modify. I'm using the negative indefinite article kein for plural nouns in this presentation, as we cannot say a trees, but we can say no trees. As you see here, the plural negative indefinite article in the nominative case is keine. I will discuss negative indefinite articles in a later presentation. The endings for the feminine and plural indefinite articles in the nominative case are e, which is similar to the pattern we saw in definite articles. The accusative indefinite articles are einen, masculine, eine, feminine, ein, neuter, and keine, plural. Again, the feminine and plural indefinite articles follow the definite article pattern and add an e ending. And, as is to be expected, the masculine indefinite article is the only one that changes as it moves from the nominative to accusative, adding an en ending. Unlike the definite article pattern, however, the neuter indefinite article does not take an ending in the accusative case. This sometimes makes it difficult to determine the gender in case of the noun. Let's take a look at a few sentences to explain this a bit more. In the sentence you see here, wo ist ein Tisch? Where is a table? It is difficult to know whether the noun is masculine or neuter, since ein does not take an ending. The same thing applies here with wo ist ein Auto? Where is a car? In these cases, you simply need to memorize whether the noun is masculine or neuter. By looking at the verb, however, you can guess whether the neuter indefinite article is nominative or accusative. Here, the linking verb indicates that auto is a predicate noun and ein must be in the nominative case. And here, the transitive verb indicates that auto is a direct object and ein must be in the accusative case. Paying attention to verb forms is also important when dealing with feminine and plural indefinite articles. Finally, to distinguish between feminine and plural indefinite articles, you will need to be familiar with plural noun endings. In this sentence, sieht keine Tür, he sees no door, or he doesn't see a door, the noun does not have a plural ending, but it does receive the action of the verb. In this case, keine would be accusative feminine. However, the noun in this sentence does have a plural ending, which means that keine would be accusative plural. He sees no doors, or he doesn't see any doors. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-minute German grammar. Thank you for watching. This video will examine the gender and number of German nouns. A noun is a part of speech that names a person, place, thing, or idea. In modern English, nouns usually do not manifest any grammatical gender. The only definite article in English is the. Unlike an English noun, a German noun has a grammatical gender. It can be either masculine, feminine, or neuter. The grammatical gender can be related to the biological gender of the noun, if it has one, but usually there is no connection. The grammatical gender of a noun is seen in its definite article. Der indicates a masculine noun, die a feminine noun, and das a neuter noun. German nouns can either be singular or plural. Unlike singular nouns, plural nouns manifest no gender. The only definite article for plural nouns is die. The German noun Mann, man, has a masculine grammatical gender, so its definite article is der. In this case, the grammatical gender agrees with the biological gender of the noun. It is also important to note that all German nouns are capitalized. The German noun Tisch, table, has a masculine grammatical gender, so its definite article is der. Here, the grammatical gender does not indicate any biological gender of the noun. The German noun Tür, door, has a feminine grammatical gender, so its definite article is die. The German noun Auto, car, has a neuter grammatical gender, so its definite article is das. The German noun Autos, cars, is plural, so its definite article is die. It is important to distinguish the plural definite article die from the feminine singular article die. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce interrogative words in the nominative case. Interrogative words are used to introduce a question. Unlike simple yes-no questions, interrogative words require a more detailed response. In the sentence you see on the screen, the interrogative word where inquires about the position of the subject. The more detailed response to the question is provided by the prepositional phrase, in the library. In German, like in English, the interrogative word comes at the beginning of the sentence. Here the interrogative adverb wo, where, sets up a question inquiring about the location of the subject. The verb will come in the second position in sentences beginning with an interrogative word. We will see in a later presentation that the verb comes in the first position in yes-no questions. Finally, as is the case with most English interrogative words, it is useful to note that German interrogative words begin with the letter W. For this reason, they are often called W words, in German, W-Wörter. There are different types of interrogative words. Interrogative pronouns can be used to ask questions about the identity of a noun. For example, wer, who, was, what, and welch, which, are interrogative pronouns. The ending for welch are determined by the case and gender of the noun it modifies. We will look at how to add these endings in a later presentation. Wer also has different accusative, dative, and genitive forms, which we will also examine later. In the sentence you see here, wer ist das? Who is that? The interrogative pronoun wer inquires about the identity of a person. You will note that the interrogative pronoun is in the first position, the verb in the second position. Interrogative pronouns can also inquire about the quantity, number, and characteristics of a noun. Wie viel, how much, wie viele, how many, and wie groß, how tall, large. These interrogative pronouns, as you see on the screen, usually appear in compound forms. Since these pronouns appear directly before a noun, they are sometimes also called interrogative adjectives. The interrogative pronoun wie viel, how much, is usually used in conjunction with a singular noun to ask about the quantity or volume of that noun. For example, wie viel Wasser trinken Sie? How much water are they drinking? The verb technically still comes in the second position, after the compound interrogative pronoun and the noun it precedes. The interrogative pronoun wie viele, how many, is usually used in conjunction with a plural noun to ask about the number of that noun. For example, wie viele Studenten kommen heute? How many students are coming today? Again, the verb appears in the second position. We can use any adjective following wie to create a compound interrogative pronoun. Here, for example, you see the adjective groß, tall, large, used to inquire about the height of a person. Wie groß bist du? How tall are you? Interrogative adverbs differ from interrogative pronouns in that they ask questions about the activity of a noun, the reasoning why an activity is performed, when it was performed, and the manner in which it was performed. Some interrogative adverbs are warum, why, wann, when, and wie, how. In the sentence you see on the screen, wann kommt er? When is he coming? The interrogative adverb wann inquires about the time when an activity will be performed by the subject of the sentence. Interrogative adverbs also ask questions about the location of an activity and its direction. These interrogative adverbs include wo, where, wohin, where to, and woher, where from. For example, in the sentence here, wohin geht sie? Where is she going to? The interrogative adverb wohin inquires about the direction of an activity performed by the subject of the sentence. It is common colloquial practice to break wohin and woher into two parts, so that the separated adverb hin or her comes at the very end of the question. This separation does not change the meaning of the sentence. Finally, as you see here, there are several different ways of asking what is essentially why. Germans are, apparently, very inquisitive people. The 5-Minute German Grammar Series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce definite articles in the nominative and accusative cases. You will recall from an earlier presentation that the grammatical gender of a noun is seen in its definite article. Der indicates a masculine noun, die a feminine noun, and das a neuter noun. And you will also remember that plural nouns manifest no gender. The only definite article for plural nouns is die. Most of the definite articles we have seen up to this point are in the nominative case. That is to say, they mark the noun that follows as being the subject or primary actor of a sentence. You could think of these definite articles as being the first row of a chart. The second row of the chart would be definite articles in the accusative case. These definite articles mark the noun that follows as being the direct object of the sentence. It is, in other words, the noun that receives the action performed by the subject of the sentence. We can see an important pattern here. The masculine definite article der is the only article that changes from the nominative to the accusative. A rhyme I've always told my students to help them remember this change is, der becomes den, everything else stays the same. Or perhaps you can think of the definite article den as being the only one that does not belong to a select group of definite articles. It got voted off the island. Whatever way works best for you, the masculine definite article is the only one that we really have to worry about, at least in the nominative and accusative cases. As you continue your study of German, which has a more flexible syntax than English, you will find that definite articles will be essential for determining what noun is the subject of the sentence and what noun receives the action performed by the subject. In the sentence you see on the screen, wo ist der Tisch? Where is the table? The third-person singular verb ist shows no action. It simply reports a condition or state of being. Since no real action is described in the sentence, the masculine definite article der indicates that the noun that follows, Tisch, is in the nominative case and, therefore, the subject of the sentence. This all changes, however, if we add the masculine personal pronoun to the sentence. This personal pronoun, since it is in the nominative case, must be the subject of the sentence. Accordingly, the masculine definite article den indicates that the following noun is in the accusative case and receives the action being performed by the subject. In other words, the noun Tisch receives the action of being had or possessed by the subject of the sentence. Hat den Tisch. He has the table. Definite articles are really important for helping us make sense of what is going on in the sentence. You'll recall from an earlier presentation that we can emphasize sentence elements in German by putting them in the first position. Although den Tisch here comes in the first position, the masculine definite article tells us that it is the direct object and in the accusative case. The meaning of the sentence, therefore, is still the same as in the prior slide. Besides paying attention to personal pronouns, it is critical to consider other sentence elements, such as verb conjugations and noun endings, to understand what is going on. This is especially important when definite articles have similar forms. For example, the sentence you see on the screen, sieht die Tür, he sees the door. The feminine definite article die, which is in the accusative case, looks very similar to the nominative form, as well as to the plural nominative in accusative forms. How do I know which is which? In this case, the masculine personal pronoun is in the nominative case, and must therefore function as the subject of the sentence. The noun Tür, therefore, receives the action of being seen and is the direct object. In this case, die most likely is a feminine definite article in the accusative case. But how do I know it's not plural? In this sentence, sieht die Türen, he sees the doors, the ending on the noun informs us that we are dealing with a plural form. Since we still have as the subject, Türen must still be the direct object, and die a plural definite article in the accusative case. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will examine German masculine nouns. You'll recall from the presentation on German nouns that all singular nouns have a grammatical gender. This gender can be seen in the definite article. Here, the biological gender of the noun Mann, man, agrees with its grammatical gender. The definite article der shows that this is a masculine singular noun. When learning German, it is important to memorize the definite article with the noun. The German noun Tisch, table, has a masculine grammatical gender, so its definite article is der. Here, the grammatical gender does not indicate any biological gender of the noun. There is nothing particularly male about a table. Although the grammatical gender of German nouns is sometimes difficult to determine, there are some rules that can help you. Let's take a look at them now. As we have seen, nouns designating male beings are masculine. Nouns describing professions, such as Architekt, architect, are masculine. There's a way to form a feminine version of these nouns, which we will explore in a later presentation. Nationalities are also masculine. Americana, American, is a masculine noun. We'll see a way to form a feminine version of these nouns later. Days of the week, such as Mittwoch, Wednesday, and months of the year, such as Juni, June, are masculine. Most seasons are masculine nouns: Herbst, Fall. Forms of precipitation, such as Schnee, snow, and Regen, rain, are masculine nouns. Nouns ending in ismus, such as Kapitalismus, capitalism, are masculine. Nouns ending in er that are derived from verbs are masculine. Here, the noun Arbeiter, worker, is derived from the German verb arbeiten, to work. Nouns ending in ich, such as Teppich, rug, or carpet, are masculine. Nouns ending in ner, such as Rentner, pensioner, are masculine. We'll see a way to form a feminine version of these nouns in a later presentation. Nouns ending in ig, ling, and or, such as Honig, honey, Sperling, sparrow, and Professor, professor, are masculine. Finally, Most nouns ending in en, such as Westen, the West, are masculine. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share.
All right, today we're going to be looking at the sentence bracket in German. What we're going to do is look at a verb with the separable prefix anrufen, to call up, and use this in a German sentence and go through the sentence part by part, take it apart grammatically to see how the sentence bracket works. Then we're going to play with word order to show that the sentence bracket is independent of word order. And then finally we're going to conclude with a compound verb, einkaufen gehen, to go shopping. So using two verbs instead of one to demonstrate the same effect with the sentence bracket. So let's take a look at this verb anrufen, to call up. You recall that verbs with a separable prefix, the prefix is actually stressed, therefore the stress over the A, anrufen. Now the sentence we're going to be looking at is Ich rufe heute meinen Freund an. I'm calling my friend up today. So going through the sentence component by component, we have the subject, ich, is the first person singular personal pronoun, I. The verb rufe, which agrees, subject-verb agreement. It's a first-person singular conjugated form of the verb. I call. The adverbial time modifier, heute. Now, since it's an adverb, it adds to the meaning of the verb. Well, when do you call? I call today. We want to get that as close as possible to the verb. Therefore, we're going to put it right after the verb. And then we have meinen Freund, which is the accusative object. So something in the sentence has to receive the action of the verb, and that's going to be my friend. My friend receives the action of being called up, therefore he's going to be in the accusative case. And finally, at the very end of the sentence, we still have a part of the verb, an, up. This is the separable prefix, and you'll recall from prior discussions with separable prefix verbs that the separable prefix always comes at the end of the sentence. So, since it comes at the end of the sentence, we will have something which we call a sentence bracket. So, we have in the first position the personal pronoun ich, the verb rufe is in the second position, and you'll notice that this verb with the separable prefix forms a bracket around the remainder of the sentence, which I call the third element, everything else that doesn't fit into 1 and 2. Ich rufe an. Ich rufe heute meinen Freund an. Now, just because I have the sentence here beginning with the subject, the person performing the action, the person who's actually calling, doesn't mean that that it has to stay that way. If I want to, I could change the word order around, depending upon what I want to emphasize. So in this sentence, meinen Freund is the thing I want to emphasize. Therefore, I'm going to put him at the beginning of the sentence. He's going to be in the first position. However, you'll notice that the second position still is the verb. This is a standard rule of thumb, that the verb in statement sentences in German always comes in the second position. And since it's a separable prefix verb, the prefix comes at the very end of the sentence, forming again the sentence bracket. Now, ich the subject of the sentence has to come in somewhere, since it's no longer in the first position, can't be in the second because that's where the verb is. So the third position was sort of the catch-all. So since it's the subject of the sentence, I want to get that as close to the verb as possible. And then after that, we could follow it with the adverbial time modifier, heute. So, just a quick demonstration to show that the sentence bracket still works regardless of sentence syntax, or the word order of the sentence. Now, finally, the last thing I want to look at is something in German that they call a compound verb. So, for instance, einkaufen, gehen. We have two verbs: einkaufen, to shop; gehen, to go. Now, in English, you'll see there we have to go shopping. Shopping is actually what they call a gerund. It's a form of the verb. That's not a standard form. So to go shopping, to go skating, to go driving. All of those gerunds will end in an ing. So in German, the primary emphasis is on the act of going. What are you doing? We are going. And what are you going to do when you get there? We're going to go shopping. So what we want to do in German is to put the gehen in the second position. So, ich gehe heute einkaufen. I is the subject of the sentence. Therefore, since I want to stress that, I'm going to put it in the beginning of the sentence in the first position. Again, the verb comes, or let's say in this instance, the primary, the most important component of the compound verb, the act of going, comes in the second position, followed thereafter by heute, the adverbial time modifier. However, at the end of the sentence is we have the less important part of the compound verb, einkaufen. It answers the question about, well, you're going, but what are you going to do when you get there? We're going to go shopping. Therefore, it sort of functions in the way that a separable prefix functions, in that it's separated from the main verb and is put at the end of the sentence, forming a sentence bracket. So, the sentence bracket in German.
Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce the present tense conjugation of strong and irregular German verbs. You may find it useful to review the presentation on regular verbs before proceeding with this presentation. In addition to regular verbs, German also has many irregular and strong verbs. These verbs have unusual variations in the conjugation of the present and imperfect tenses, as well as in the formation of the past participle. The imperfect tense is also known as the preterite, or simple past tense. Irregular verbs are sometimes also called mixed verbs. Whatever they are called, you can find lists of these verbs and their 4 principal parts in your book or on the internet. It is very important to memorize these 4 principal parts, as they will help you in your future study of German. As this presentation focuses on the present tense conjugation of strong and irregular verbs, we will only be dealing with the second principal part, the third person singular present tense verb form. We will look at the other principal parts in future presentations. The second principal part is important as it lets us know that the verb we are conjugating has unpredictable variations in the second and third person singular. This is a typical characteristic of most irregular and strong verbs. For example, you will note that the verb stem for the irregular verb haben, to have, retains the consonant letter B throughout most of the present tense conjugation pattern, with the exception of the second and third person singular, where the consonant is dropped. When dealing with irregular and strong verbs, then, we need to be aware that the second and third person singular conjugations will be different. The sentence sie hat, she has, shows the correct third person conjugation. The verb sehen, to see, is another example, this time using a strong verb. You will note that this conjugation pattern retains all the endings found in the conjugation pattern for regular verbs, but that the verb stem in the second and third person singular shows a vowel change from E to the double vowels IE. The sentence sie sieht, she sees, shows the correct third person conjugation. Finally, the conjugation pattern for the strong verb sein, to be, is completely unpredictable and must be committed to memory. The sentence sie ist, she is, shows the correct third person conjugation. Although it may be difficult to memorize the 4 principal parts of irregular and strong verbs, with repeated practice you will begin to notice patterns that will help you. The main thing is not to give up and to keep trying. The 5-Minute German Grammar Series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share. Welcome to 5-Minute German Grammar. Thank you for watching. This presentation will introduce interrogative words in the accusative case. As we saw in a prior presentation, interrogative words demand a more detailed response. The interrogative word where inquires about the position of the subject. More detailed information is provided by the prepositional phrase, in the library. You may want to review that presentation before continuing with this one. We also learned that some interrogative words took different endings based on the case, gender, and number of the noun they modify, although I didn't go into detail about them. I will do that in this presentation. These interrogative words are wer, who, and welch, which. It is important to note that the endings for these interrogative words are like the der word endings we have already studied. This slide shows these der word endings using the demonstrative pronoun dies, this. The interrogative pronoun wer, who, always takes a masculine ending. The er ending here indicates that the pronoun is in the nominative case and therefore acting as the subject of the sentence. Wer ist das? Who is that? In this slide, the masculine en ending indicates that the interrogative pronoun is the direct object of the verb and therefore in the accusative case. Wen siehst du? Whom do you see? An interesting side note is that where or wir is Old English for an adult male human. Variations of this noun are common across many Germanic languages and help to explain why the interrogative pronoun wer takes masculine endings in modern German today. It also helps us understand the etymology of werewolf or der Werwolf in German, both of which could be translated as man-wolf. Although the interrogative pronoun wer is limited to masculine endings, welch takes the full range of endings based on the gender, case, and number of the noun it modifies. Here the masculine er ending indicates that the noun it modifies is in the nominative case and the subject to the sentence. Welcher Mann ist das? Which man is that? And here, the masculine en ending indicates that welchen Mann is the direct object of the verb, and therefore in the accusative case. The feminine e ending here could be either nominative or accusative, but the presence of du, a nominative personal pronoun, suggests that welche Frau functions as the direct object of the verb and is therefore in the accusative case. And, like the prior slide, although the neuter es ending could be either nominative or accusative, the presence of du also shows that welches Auto must be in the accusative case. We do need to be a bit careful when distinguishing between feminine and plural endings. Although the e ending here could possibly be either feminine nominative or accusative, the noun ending en and the presence of du indicates that welche Menschen must be plural accusative and the direct object of the verb. Finally, it is important to remember that interrogative words always come in the first position of the sentence. Although welch generally is used in conjunction with a noun, as you see here, this noun phrase is still considered to be one unit and in the first position. The verb, of course, still comes in the second position. The 5-minute German grammar series is produced by David Neville, Associate Professor of German. The videos, scripts, and lecture slides are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share Alike 4.0 International License. Don't be a square, remix and share.